All right, in this session, I wanted to speak about how to learn trading in the best possible way. Because let me type this first before I think about speaking. I can't multitask. Right, the reason why I wanted to speak on this topic is because people underestimate how they're actually learning. They don't see how they can learn from experiences which they have within the markets. And the things that they do think is the most effective way to learn, they're applying themselves to. It's the same way how people look at technical analysis more than psychology, even though psychology is more important. The same way how people look at the ways to learn trading, the opposite to what's the most effective way to actually teach them. And what do I mean by that? I mean, people will sit and study and watch trading videos all day long. All day long. Studying trading videos, reading trading books. But the real question is, what do you think the best way is to learn? Watching videos? Reading books? No. Practical trading. Trading, right? Is actually trading. It's like if I was to say to you, I'm going to teach you how to swim, and I give you a book. Do you think you're going to know how to swim after the end of the book? No, because you haven't jumped in the pool. I promise you, when you start drowning in the pool, you will learn more than any of those pages taught you in the book. Right? And it's the same thing in trading. But most people won't see how when they're drowning, that's the best time to learn how to trade. And I say this to encourage you, because if you feel like you're drowning in trading, it's the best opportunity to learn. Forget the books, forget the videos, forget one-on-one sessions, forget speaking with your accountability partner or your mentor. It's the moment that you're actually drowning and suffering is the best learning experience, but you need to see it that way. If you can't see it that way, you're not going to see it that way. Right? Now, there's three things that you're going to need to learn from, which is going to require practicality when trading. The first thing is psychology, and I want to touch on psychology first, right? So what is the primary ways in which you can learn psychology when trading? Let me show you. Okay. First things first. In order to learn psychology, you must, okay, and I repeat, you must be on a live account. This is the first thing. Now, why do I say on a live account? Because you're never, ever going to experience psychology being tested on a demo account. Never. And being on a live account is the real test. Okay, this is when you're in the trenches now. It's like, okay, cool. You can be in a swimming pool and experience the waves of the market, but being on a demo account is like having armbands on. Doesn't matter what the waves do, you know you're good. You can go to sleep in the ocean at night with huge waves, but have your armbands on and just chill. Same way how you can be in a trade, maximum leverage, biggest lot size, and still go to sleep at night. Why? Because you know you've got your armbands on. you've got your demo account on. So the only way that you can experience psychology and learning psychology is number one, on a live account. The second thing that you want to do to learn the best way possible about your own psychology is note how you react different scenarios. Okay. Now, what are some different examples or scenarios when trading? One of them could be drawdown. Best scenario is being in drawdown. How do you mentally cope in drawdown? Another example could be when, I guess, you're in a trade that's in drawdown. How do you cope with that? How do you feel about that? Another example, which is where you're going to learn the most about your psychology, is how you cope when you're winning. And how you cope when you've taken a loss. And I'll put losses as well. These things are going to be the best scenarios to put yourself in to actually learn. And if you're really trying to learn about your own psychology, you need to be taking notes of this, of how you're feeling, how you're reacting. Because then the third point, in terms of the best way to be able to learn about psychology in the markets, is to highlight your flaws and your strengths. So as an example, if you're running in drawdown on a trade, but you feel okay, this is one of your strengths. And this is all going to tie in when I speak about strategy, right? But if you highlight your flaw, like you can't take taking a loss, let's just say now, because obviously this is all going to be data focused. If you're in a trade and the trade is in drawdown or the trade's taken a loss, and now you're vexed, you're shaking, you're emotional, note this down. Because what's going to happen is you can now, when you're refining your strategy, when you're refining your psychology, you can now note down, don't take any more than one trade if it's a loss. But how are you going to know that if you don't know what you're like after a loss? That's why I'm saying the learning, the books, the teaching, the whatever, is not going to teach you that. Because you don't know how you're going to be. I can tell you one method of trading or of risk management or your approach when to, how many trades you should take in a day, but how do you know if that suits you or not? So you need to highlight your flaws and your strengths. The fourth way, okay, is by exploring different styles of managing. Emotions or psychology. And what do I mean by that? I mean, what can you do in order to silence your psychology? What can you do to think clearly? What can you do to react less? It might be like, oh, I noticed that when I went for a walk, I was okay. When I wasn't watching my trade, I was okay. When I kept myself busy with doing something else, I was all right. When, I was at work and in a trade, I didn't care about the trade. So you can now note that down as something that you can now apply moving forward. Okay, when I enter a trade now, I know that I'm going to go for a walk. So I can't look at the charts. Or I now know when I enter a trade, I'm going to call Leo to take my mind off of it. Or I know when I enter a trade that maybe I'm going to go to the gym. Whatever it is. But these are different styles of managing your psychology and your emotions to help you think less when you're in a trade. And the final thing, the fifth thing, the least important thing is reading books. Because at least in books, you can find out other people's examples of how they cope to give you ideas of things that you could implement to help you learn best around your psychology. All right. So these are the best ways to learn psychology. Now, let's speak about strategy. What are the best ways to learn strategy? Number one, on a demo account. First, test your strategy. Okay, I say your live account is to test your psychology or your emotions. The demo account is to test your strategy. Now, this is all long. I should have just done a Word document. Now, the reason why this is good and why this is key is because now you can look at just the raw information. Because whilst you're learning your strategy, you should also be mastering your psychology. So you're now working on two separate entities that make you or make up you as the trader. You're working on your psychology and you're working on your strategy. So you know that once you've mastered each as individuals, that you can put them together and become that master trader. Because you know a demo account, you're not going to have any emotions on it. So you're going to be trading based off of pure logic, which is the way that you want to be trading. And you know now, let's just say if you're testing your psychology on a different account, on a live account, you now know that once you've mastered your psychology, you've mastered the way that you think, you've mastered your flaws, your strengths, your weaknesses, your different styles of managing your emotions, you now know that if you apply that with the strategy that you've been testing with logic, you know you're going to be ready to execute on it. Now, the second thing to learn the best way with regards to your strategy is find a strategy that you understand. And if you don't understand a strategy, understand it, right? Meaning do your best to understand it. So as an example, if you don't understand anything about fair value gaps, order blocks, liquidity sweeps, do your best to understand it or don't use the strategy. Find another strategy. If you understand London rate, use the London rate. If that's a lot easier for you. One sec. So the point is that if you don't understand the strategy, you're not going to be able to trade it. And that's the reality. And what's going to help you to understand the strategy? Very simple. Back tests. Or let me just highlight in capital letters. Do your homework. If you're not doing your homework, you're not learning your strategy. Or it's going to take so much longer for you. Right? This is where the work is in trading. When people say, oh, I put years and years and years into trading, You know what they put years and years and years into? In reality, back testing, forward testing their strategy and refining it. That's what they put years and years and years into. Okay. That's what takes the most amount of time. When someone says, I'll put hours and hours of trading, that's what took the time. Okay. I could find a strategy in a week and be back testing it, forward testing it for 6 months. Right. That's what takes time. Now, the reason why you want to back test and do your homework is to build your belief. And a fourth thing is you need to forward test. You don't know what forward testing is? It means using the strategy live. You're using the strategy essentially on a demo account or on a live account. When you're using it on a live account, you're essentially forward testing both your strategy and your psychology. Now, forward testing is the only way to find if something suits you. And I say this because, as an example, I had a call with somebody, a one-on-one call with somebody from TikTok who was interested in learning how to trade with us. He trades gold. Now, his strategy was enter on the retracement. That was it. No stop loss, right? Just enter on the retracement. And you might laugh at this. You're thinking, how the hell is he trading gold with no stop loss? You guys know that's a recipe for disaster, right? But he showed me his results. I kid you not. Off of £1,000 account, he was up by like £300-400 within the space of 2-3 weeks using like 0.01 lot size. This like £300-400 off of £1,000 account. That's 30-40% using 0.01 and 0.02 lot sizes. So you might laugh because he's not using stop loss. Now, my point was, right, what I was getting to, is that he was explaining to me his trading strategy. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. I wish I could, I need to learn his strategy. He needs to be teaching me. But the reason why it was coming to me is because he didn't like his strategy. The reason he didn't like his strategy is because although it'd make him so much money, huge returns on his account using minimal risk, he didn't like his strategy. Why didn't he like his strategy? He didn't like his strategy because of how long he would be in drawdown for. How long the trade would be in a minus for. He couldn't hack it. He said, Leo, I need a new strategy. I'm like, yo, I need your results, right? But then again, I know me. And I know me because of forward testing strategies. I know that I don't like being in drawdown either. I don't like being in drawdown for long. That's why you'll find that most of the trades that I enter, they go straight into profit. Or they go straight to stop loss. The stop losses take less than 20 minutes. I don't want to be in a trade that's in a loss for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. Listen, bro, I could not deal with that. But how do I learn this? How do you learn this? How do you learn if a strategy is for you? You need to test it in live environment to find out if it actually suits you. Because if it doesn't, it's not the strategy that doesn't work. It might work. It might work the same way that this guy's strategy was working, making him crazy returns. But it doesn't work for him as a person. right? So the final part of really learning in the best possible way a strategy is to note down your challenges, your likes and dislikes around the strategy. And I say this last because obviously first you should understand it. So I don't want you to be noting down, oh, I don't understand the strategy, so I don't like it. No, because you shouldn't be trading a strategy if you don't understand it. That's the first thing, right? Well, that's before this. If you understand the strategy now, you need to note down your challenges or your likes and your dislikes. What do I like about it? I like the fact that it does good risk to reward ratios. I'm hitting 1 to 5s, 1 to 6s, 1 to 7s, whatever. But I don't like the fact that I take so many stop losses. But how are you going to know that? You're not going to know that you don't like it until you've taken all of the stop losses. And you're not going to know whether or not you should change that strategy if it's not for you, if you can't weigh up the pros and cons. Because the pros of it is you're hitting 1 to 5s, 1 to 6s, 1 to 7s. That's heaven for some people. But guess what? The hell might outweigh it, which is the amount of times they hit stop loss. You might not be able to hack that. You might find that psychologically, emotionally, you can't deal with all of these stop losses. So I know, for example, for me, I can deal with stop losses. I can deal with being patient. I can deal with not trading for the reward of at least a 1 to 3 risk to reward ratios, for a reward of taking my full profits at take profit and not taking partials. So you're not going to know any of this unless you highlight it and understand it. Okay. Until you understand it and see it, you're not going to see it. All right. And then finally, the third part, the third thing that you can learn in the best possible way that you probably don't know about, right? Remember, you're probably, or prior to watching this video or being on this session, you probably didn't know that these are the best ways to learn. Okay, you need to effectively, and I call it being in the trenches, right? From the ends, you got to be in the trenches, bro. Like, no lacking. You have to learn risk management by being hands-on, right? And what I mean by that is being hands-on is finding out a level of risk that you're comfortable with taking. I know I'm a big risk taker. Okay. So I'm happy with taking bigger risks when I know the risks, when I know everything's calculated. But there's other people that's not big risk takers. You might not be a big risk taker, and that's completely fine. That doesn't say that trading isn't for you or that you shouldn't trade no more. Trading's for everybody if you can find the exact fit for you. Some people excel faster than others, naturally. Like some people are more talented at basketball, let's just say, than other people. But it doesn't say that someone like me that's not talented at basketball can come in and train to become a good basketball player. Same thing in trading. You can train. If you're not naturally gifted in trading, you can become a great trader. But you need to test and learn in the best possible way the level of risk that you can take on. You might find that you can risk 2% a trade. You might find that you can risk 3% a trade. I know ICT says that his average trades are between 3 and 4.5%. few banks who we met a few weeks ago, a month ago, he says, risk of 1% for pussies. That's him though. Everyone's different. Now, you might like risking less. You might like risking a tiny amount. But I promise you, as you get more confident in the rest of this, you're going to be more happy with this part. When you're confident in your strategy, when you're confident in your psychology, how to manage your psychology, your different styles of managing your psychology, your risk management can be higher than what it is currently. Second thing is you only can explore your tolerance when trading, of course. Meaning you're going to have to try. You're going to have to try to risk more. Like the same conversation I was having with Angel the other day. Try risking more. Okay, if you don't try, you'll never know. If you're always risking small, how do you know if you can go bigger? If you're always risking big, right? Because you're a mad person, right? You started off risking big and you've always been risking big, but you know that this messes you up, that you can't trade after doing big risks. Then try trading smaller. That's number 2. Number 3 is find your management style. Of course, through trading. By management style, what do I mean? I mean, how do you manage the trade when you're in the trade? What do you do when you're in the trade? Do you take partials? Do you move your TP? Do you move your stop loss? Do you move it to entry? Do you move it partial way towards entry? Do you tend to layer your positions? Do you do grind trading or adding on to trades that's in a loss? Find your management style. You can only do this by forward testing and testing how you're feeling from managing your trades this way. And again, this is the long part, guys. I say it's long because you can't just test it on one trade. You can't say, oh, I'm feeling happy today. Walk in the office. Okay, I'm risking 5% today. Let's go. I say, oh, you know what? It was quite good. It hit take profit. Of course, you're gonna say, okay, cool, that's good because it hit take profit. You made 15% off of one trade. Great. But you need to test it through a series of trades, through a series of losses, through a series of wins, so that now you've got a holistic or you've got an average view as to how you like your risk management style. This is a long part. Then finally, when around risk management, you need to test when to close early. And again, this goes back to the call that I done a few weeks ago, looking at your metrics. Okay, your metrics will tell you why or when you should be closing early or not. If you don't know your metrics, how do you boost your metrics? You do more. That's it. Because it's about finding averages. By doing more, I mean risking more. So you can actually see the tangible results of what it's doing to your account by the way that you're trading currently. I mean, by taking more trades, because now you're getting an average feel as to this is definitely what happens every time I close early. It's not just a coincidence of 1, 2, 3 trades, but every time I've closed early, or on average for the last 10, 20, 30 trades, this is what's happened. And I've taken, only small profits. And the trades have gone on to take profit on average 80% of the time. Then you can know whether or not you should be closing early. These are the best ways possible to learn how to trade. So unless you're really willing to be in the trenches and learn through actually swimming or drowning, it's going to feel like drowning most of the time. Then you're going to take forever to learn how to trade. If you're just watching videos, asking for advice and, reading the books, it's going to take you forever. So this is why I'm glad if you blow an account. I'm happy for you because I'm going to ask you, where did you go wrong? How did you feel? What happened? Did you revenge trade? How many trades did you take? Did you win or lose? What caused you to take that revenge trade? What currency was you trading? I'm going to ask you all of these questions. Why? Because you've been in the trenches. You've been drowning. Now I'm here to help resuscitate you, bring you back to life and say, listen, you went all the way out there. You went to the deep end. Let me reveal to you, through asking you the right questions, where you went wrong. So then you're solving your own problem. It's not me. I'm just here to help you find out more about you. And I've said this time and time again. I'm here to help you understand you better as a trader. And when you understand you, then and only then can you start to understand the markets. Because the markets and the results that you're getting in the markets are a direct reflection of the level that you understand yourself. The markets are the same for everybody. So why is it that two different people can get two completely different results? Because the market is a reflection of themselves, of the results that they get. Okay. So that's this session on how to learn in the best possible way. I hope this has been of value for you. And the main aim, the main thing that I want you to get from this is the fact that you need to jump in the pool to really start learning. And if you want to fast track your results, if you want to fast track your progress in trading, if you want to, become a six-figure trader within the next 6 months, you really need to be in there practically taking action. I don't care all of the books that you're reading or any of that. That's all good. But that's in addition to this. It's going to require sacrifice. It's going to require hard work. But most importantly, it's going to require reflection on what you're actually doing when you're trading. All right. So, like I said, I hope this has been of value. And until next time, guys, that is this session. Does everything make